So today I'm going to fit a grab rail to a solid Victorian brick wall in this bathroom. The reason I say solid brick wall is because with Victorian houses the plaster, render, what you will, on the walls is quite often quite thick, so I tend to use usually larger, longer screws than sometimes would come with the grab rail. So the first thing is to choose the position of your grab rail, whether you're going to have it sort of horizontal or vertical, or as in this case I'm going to put it at a bit of an angle, because then I can hopefully get the best of both worlds. So you can get out of the bath and maybe hold it a little tiny bit if you're in the shower. You need to fix it to substantial tiles, because sometimes the tiles can be a bit loose, and then if they are loose, when you put the power drill to them and start drilling through them, they crack. So hopefully these are reasonably well fitted. They seem to be. So I'm going to find my location, stick some very lime green duct tape on there, and then we can mark that with our holes ready for drilling. So I've now stuck a couple of pieces of duct tape to each of the different locations, so there's room to cover where I'm going to put my screw holes. So that's going to go pretty much there. Probably do it maybe moving that a little bit more, but that should be fine. So I'm just going to mark those now with a pencil, and then we'll be ready for drilling. We'll use a number 8 masonry drill today with a pointy head on, something suitable for drilling through ceramic tiles, and we're going to use a brown plug and a number 5 or an old money number 10 screw, probably 2.5 inches long or 70 millimeters, and then that should give us plenty of to make sure that we grab into a brick rather than just grabbing into the plaster. This is for a solid brick wall, not for a plaster wall. Bye! You just have to ease these covers off. Hopefully you should be able to just sort of fairly easily just sort of pull that off there. Pull them both down to the centre so they're out of the way, and then we'll be ready for marking. So today I'm going to use a Bosch Expert multi-construction 7mm by just 200 to 250 millimeters long, so it's about 200 of the real cutting depth. So just make sure there's no pipes or wires behind. Use your little detector or secret vise, and it's got the nice sharp new pointy head on there, so in theory this should go through whatever's behind there. So it'll be ceramic tile, plaster, render, brick, and yeah, so that's it. So watch this space. Just going to initially drill, I've marked my holes on my little bits of green duct tape. I'm just going to drill 2 holes, one in the one section there and one in the other section there, just to double check that I've got the rest of the holes in the correct places, because when you're trying to hold these slippery items on the wall on your own, it does make it sometimes a little bit difficult to make sure you've got it in exactly the right position. As this is a very long drill bit, as you see, I'm just going to, because I've got my screw there which I'm going to use, I'm just going to mark, I'm going to add a little bit, maybe half an inch or so, and I'm just going to put some duct tape around there, just so I don't drill unnecessarily deep. Sometimes if you drill too deep, one of these long drill bits in some houses, you might be through to your neighbours, so just beware. So there we are, that's my screw, about 70mm, number 10, and then I've left about half an inch, maybe a bit more, 12mm. I marked it off with my green duct tape, just to show me what depth to drill into. So now I've got my drill set on the high speed, so number 2, set on hammer, in line with the arrow there, and I've set it on the highest torque rating, so then we'll just drill it. So what I tend to do is I'm going to get this onto the mark, and then just hit the end. This is what I was taught. Just like that, and then it makes a bit of a dent into the ceramic tile, and then it should go in to the right position. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use my drill, and I'm going to hold my little dustpan underneath, and then I've put my dust sheet, as you see, but hopefully the dustpan will collect most of the debris. So we've got a dustpan with a little rubber edge there, and so then we're just going to put that firmly against the wall like that, a bit of an angle, just so we can get the drill in. Put the drill in, bash the end of the drill with your palm of your hand, just to make it bite into the. There we are. We've got our mark there. So just go like that, and then we're ready to start. That'll give us our starting point. Now, just put that in there like that, and here we go. Drill, drill, drill. Try and get it as level as possible. Because that you can see now that we've got through to the red brick dust, so that's where we want to be into, so we can get a nice firm fixing. So if you just tap this when you take it off the wall like that, then that should go into there rather than going all over your bath. Don't try and wipe this up with a damp cloth. Use a dry vacuum cleaner with a dry nozzle on the end of it to pick it up, and because otherwise the red brick dust makes a huge mess and it's very much more difficult to get it off. So pick it up dry rather than trying to, as you might think is the best. It's not the best to try and wipe it off with a damp cloth, because you just end up with just a horrible red mess everywhere. Hopefully, if I do this properly, there shouldn't be any debris on the dust sheet or in the bath, but we'll see. Now we're going to do the hole down here, because then I can just check it roughly in position with the, just put a couple of temporary, just put a couple of plugs in and a couple of temporary screws, and then I can just check that I've got the other screw holes in the right position. Saves having to change the position and weaken the fixing. So, once again, get the point right on the mark. Bang, bang, bang. Keep it firmly against there, get that started. Put that under there. Where you're seeing the white dust there, that's where it's going through the ceramic tiles. And this greyer one is the render or plaster, you might call it. And then beyond that, you should get the red brick dust. Make sure you keep your dustpan there until you've pulled your drill bit out, because otherwise it would be all over the bath. And just tap that, it goes in the end. Just empty that outside somewhere on the soil, be alright, it'll all go into the mix. It's really nice using a brand new drill bit, because it does drill quite easily, it does make it a lot easier. So I just put a couple of brown screws in. Originally I said I was using a number 8 drill, but it's actually a 7mm drill bit with a brown plug. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use different types of brown plugs. I'll show you the 2 types that I use. This is the one that I'd probably use for plasterboard. Not that I'm particularly, this is not a plasterboard job today, this is a solid brick wall job. And then this is what I use for putting into solid blocks or bricks. The beauty of these is that I can put the screw carefully into the end of it, and I can push this through with my hammer right into the brickwork, so then it's nice and tight before I start screwing it up, and then you've got a really, really firm fixing. So otherwise you might be tempted just to sort of put it just into the wall, just slightly, just so it was flush with the ceramic tile, which means that only part of it is in the brick. Maybe, I don't think there's a couple of layers of ceramic tile on this wall, so you know you're losing 8-10 mil, maybe a bit more. So you're losing probably half of the use of that plug. So with my method, using these brown plugs, but the ones that are more symmetrically shaped all the way through, push that in with your screw and your hammer, and just then when it gets nice and tight in the wall, then you know you've got a nice, should be able to get a nice firm fixing. So now put my plug it into the wall, about half in, and then I'm just going to screw this screw into about 10 or 12 mil, and then I'll just push it in until it get a resistance with the hammer, and then hopefully we've got our firm fixing. Right, here we go. So that point it now starts to feel quite tight, there's a bit of resistance. So now I'm going to take that screw out and just try the bracket. So I'm just going to put the one end at the bottom there as well, and then we'll see how we get on. So just as well I done a dummy run through, because I'm actually looking at it on the face of it, I seem to have the hole positions are not correct. So just as well I did a double check, as they say in engineering terms. Measure about 45 times and cut once. So measure twice, 3 times, drill once. Don't have to repeat it and weaken your joint. Today I've used the bright lime green duct tape, but in normal instances I would be using my lighter tape, and then I could use my Marksman professional marking tool, which is brilliant. It'll throws out a little puff of chalk like so. It'll come out on the thing. So there we are. See if it does it. Hang on, do you see that? Yeah, you can just see a little puff of chalk. But unfortunately, that won't today show up on that green tape. But as I say, I've only put the green tape on today, really just to make it easier for you to see where I'm working. But, so I'm going to have to go back to my old means, the pencil or the Sharpie. Very good. So I couldn't find the Sharpie, but I found the Wilco permanent marker, so I'll use that. You can now see I've made my marks on the wall, which are fairly clear. You can see there's one there and one there, and I've put a little bit of a mark with my permanent marker there just to sort of point me in the right direction, just to make sure that I stay on the right holes, because as there's been previous marks I've made, just want to be double sure. But I think probably, maybe I've actually gone over the top of the original marks, so maybe I wasn't quite as far out as I thought I was. So I'm now just going to drill those in the same way as I drilled the other 2 holes. So here we go again. I'm just going to put the centre of my drill bit on the centre of the hole I've marked. So there we go, it goes, and then bang, 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 and then pressure on. Put our so that's ceramic tile dust. Now we're into the render, come what you might call plaster. And we've got the brick dust. And bring the drill bit out, tap that. That all there, another one. If I go too deep, then my neighbour will have somewhere to hang his coat. So, oh, I failed miserably. I can see a little bit of brick dust there, but only a tiny bit. So that's not too bad. So now I've drilled my holes with my 7mm masonry drill with a multi-drill which can cut through all sorts of different materials, including ceramic tiles and brick. And I've got the brown plug, but it's the brown plug which is pretty much straight, same sort of thickness all the way down. And I've got my number 5 70mm screw, which I've just put into the end of there. So it's just biting into there now. Or in the old terms, number 10 2.5-inch screw. And that means when I knock that into the wall with my hammer, when I feel the resistance with the hammer, then I'll know that I've got a really firm fixing into the brickwork. You'll see most of the screw disappear, but don't worry, as long as there's enough to fix the item you're fixing, that's pretty much perfect. So now, bashy, bashy, bashy. So, whether you can hear the vague change in the hammer then, but there's a slight change in the hammer tone, starts to get a little bit tighter, so that means that you're pretty much there. So we've now got about 12-15mm of screw left exposed to fix the handle to the wall, but that should all be nice and tight then. And that's in part the reason why we use these straight brown plugs rather than these that are designed more for plasterboard. Then the beauty of these is that you can then push them potentially through an item, and certainly through the ceramic tiles and the plaster right into the brick, whereas with this they would struggle to go beyond that thicker, fatter head. Once you've got all your holes drilled and your plugs in position, then you can take your sticky tape, your duct tape off the wall, and hopefully you should end up with 3 nice clean holes. I tend to prefer to use better quality screws than sometimes come with the items, because I'm sure these that come with it are perfectly adequate, because the plugs look pretty good. It looks as if they do a job pretty well. But personally, that's relatively short when you're fixing through a Victorian house wall, because as I say, you've got potentially, you may have an inch of render plaster, 25mm, and in this case you've got the render plaster, and you also, I know that there's definitely 2 layers of tiles on this wall, so then you've got about 35mm. So really, if you've got that much going through the wall before you actually get to the brick, you've only got that little bit holding it, which I think that going for the longer number 10 or number 5 screws is better. So I tend to go, as I say, for 2.5 inch, roughly 70mm. I think that's what it is in modern money. So that's it. And also, when you're putting these in with a power screwdriver, sometimes some of the cheap and cheerful screws, not sure whether these don't look too bad actually, but when you put them even on a slow speed on the power screwdriver, it does sometimes strip the head here, which makes it impossible to get them out again at a later date. So I've now taken the duct tape off, and as you see, we've got now 3 nice, neat, tidy screw holes in the ceramic tile. As I said at the beginning of this video, if your tiles are vaguely sort of loose at all or not very well fitted, you'll find it very easy to crack a tile. But choose the right drill bit as well, something that's designed for ceramic tiles or a multi drill bit like I was using today. I've chosen a brand new one. It does make it easier because they do cut very well, but this is the Bosch, where are we? There we go. Sorry, didn't focus. The Bosch Expert 7mm. It's broken off there now. Drill. I tend to use longer ones because I do a lot of my work commercially, so I tend to go for a longer drill bit because then it gives me different opportunities. But you can see all the things on there that it shows it cuts through. So I've now taken off the tape, and I've wiped this. There's a little tiny bit of residue of dust around the hole, so I've just wiped that off, as I say, with a dry cloth or a dry tissue, kitchen roll, something like that. Don't use something wet because it'll just spread the red brick dust. It'll be a real pain to get off everything, so keep everything dry. I know that's not always that easy in a bathroom, but yeah. And then hopefully you can see by using the dustpan method, I've got a lot of the debris in there. If I don't tip it all over the carpet now, whoops, so that's all in there, whereas if I hadn't have used that, it would have been on the dust sheet, but it would have probably all been in the bath, and then you get gritty bottom, and you don't want a gritty bottom, definitely not. In my video in fitting this, I've used just the ordinary holes rather than using the elongated holes. But if you can use the elongated holes, gives you a little bit more wiggle room potentially, I suppose, because you can then adjust it slightly. But basically, the main thing is if you get it in the right place in the first place, then I just go with the 3 normal holes, and it holds it together firmer, I think, then anyway. But it's a personal choice. Now the time has come just to fix this to the wall with 6 number 10 2.5 inch screws, or 6 number 5 70-ish mil screws. So that's now all nice and tight and secure. Hopefully I've got it in the right position, and as I say, you position it to suit your own personal needs, whether it be horizontal, vertical, or at a slight angle like this, whichever works best for you. If you're putting this in for maybe an older or more infirm person, then you're probably better to go for one of the white ribbed versions, because then there's a little bit more grip, a little bit less slippy. They haven't got great use of their hands. Sometimes for older, more infirm people, then the ribbed white handrails are probably better because they've got a little bit more grip on them. So you can get a little bit more, as I say, grip. If you found this at all useful or helpful, please do give it a thumbs up, and please do subscribe, and then I can continue to help Acorns Childrens Hospice Worcester and Mind. And thank you to the 700,000 people who have viewed my different videos over recent years, which is much appreciated. And if we can get a few more subscribers, hopefully then we shall start to earn some money for Acorns Childrens Hospice and Mind. Thanks. Just thought I'd show you the tools and bits and pieces that I've used in fitting this grab rail. So I've got the duct tape there, the masking tape, which is good for marking, putting on the tiles, and then you can use either your pencil or your marksman marker like that. This is very good for this sort of purpose. Just throws out a little puff of probably all over the lens now, a little puff of chalk. I've got a good quality multi-construction 7mm masonry drill. When I say masonry, it's multi-construction, so this will do ceramic tiles, bricks, all sorts of different things, so it's a useful thing to have. I go for quite a long one because it gives me lots of, covers most eventualities. If I'm doing a job like this, I sometimes put some tape just round, if I want to just make sure that I don't overdo the depth, because it's obviously quite long. We could end up giving our next door neighbour a spare coat hook in their bedroom. Up the faithful Makita drill driver, which we use as for doing the masonry drilling as well. Hammer for knocking the plugs in. The old-fashioned pencil, if we need that. A very nice dry dustpan with a little rubber edge on there for collecting the dust when you're drilling. That saves all that brick dust, etc., going all over the bath. Got the dust sheet. I use the brown plug with a 7mm masonry drill. Then I use these number 5 70mm screws. I tend to use these rather than the ones that come with the packet, because for the grab rail, because these grab rail ones are quite a lot shorter, and if you're drilling into an old wall, like this is a Victorian house, you've got here ceramic tile to go through. There's actually 2 layers of ceramic tiles on this wall, so you've got those to go through. Then you've got your render, or plaster as you might refer to it, and then beyond that you've got your brick, which you really want the plug to be firmly fitted into the brick and then screwed into that, and you get a really nice tight fit. Whereas with a smaller fixing like say this, by the time you've gone through your ceramic tiles, you've probably, even on these basic ceramic tiles, you've probably got through about 10mm, and then you've gone through maybe 25mm of render, plaster, what you will, and then you're into the brick. So you haven't really got very much in the brick. You've got a bit in the render, which is fairly hard, but if it's an old house, sometimes the render can be quite soft, so I prefer to really get a bit further into the brick, get a good firm fixing. Now using my trusty dustpan to collect the dust when I've been doing the drilling. there shouldn't be very much brick or plaster dust, etc. in the bath. See a little bit there, a little bit over there, but hopefully the rest of it should be clear. If there is any more, best is to just use a dry end-nozzled vacuum cleaner just to clear that up. Don't try and wipe it off with a wet cloth, because you'll find it'll just smear the red brick dust everywhere. It'll be quite difficult to get off. And yeah, so we'll see how we get on. So I'm just going to remove that dust sheet and we'll see how good a job I've done or not. Actually nothing in the bath and just a little tiny bit on the silicone there, which, as I say, I'll vacuum that up. So there we are, vacuum that all up. There's little or no residue. A little tiny little bit you can see perhaps under there on the silicone, but now's the time you could probably just give that a little bit of a wipe with a bit of washing up liquid or something like that. I'm sure it'll come off quite happily then, but certainly don't do it when there's loads of it around, because it'll just make a complete mess.